Mondays with Mooch.
Okay, it's a Steve Mariucci Monday with Mooch, and you guys were asking me where I was for the end of the Michigan State game.
Yeah.
We had just wrapped our NFL Game Day morning meeting with this man, Steve Mariucci. How are you, Steve? You're good? You're doing well?
I'm really good, Rich. I'm really good, and I know you powered through our show yesterday, and you're powering through this one today.
I'm doing fine, but I just want to unpack for everybody where I was, where you were, where everybody else was during the end of this game. And we're sitting there in the Montana room, named after Joe Montana, and the games are on these big two screens. We had two huge screens showing the same game, and I'm sitting in the chair with everybody behind me and Mooch to my left, and I just couldn't believe what I saw. I kept staring at the screen.
What did you see?
Well, what I did is I saw on the screen what ended up happening. Do you remember what you did, Steve? Do you remember what you did at the very end of that? Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yeah,
I look up. Steve Mariucci. All I see is a big Mooch head standing next to the screen, next to the score as it changed from 21 to 27 for Michigan State to Michigan's 23, and he puts up his fingers like a U, and he goes around the score. You know it. That's what you did, man. And then after it was all over.
I'm sorry.
No, but then I turned to you after you realized exactly everything that had happened. You said you felt bad for me. It took you about a minute.
I still feel bad for you, Rich.
I know.
You are still aching, and it's obvious to all the viewers. You got to get over this one, because if you were one of the players or coaches, you need to find a way to shake it off, Rich. You are in the tank.
What do you think Jim did afterwards? What do you think he did in that locker room after it was all over?
That had to be the most somber, dejected locker room of all time. And you know what the worst thing is, Rich?
What?
They have a bye week. They got a bye week, and they have to wallow in their sorrow for another week. Because if you have another game right away, you can just get busy and change the channel, right? And you can start concentrating on something else. But this one's going to linger for at least a week, at least a couple centuries. And so, he's got to handle it. Jim will handle it. It's not going to be easy, but he'll handle it.
I'm sure, and I've been sort of using these 3 hours, Steve, as group therapy. So many fans calling in with their worst loss in their fandom. What about you as a coach? Which one would this come even close to for you, Steve?
Okay, do you remember Cal Stanford, 1982? The band is on the field. That was a great call by Joe Starkey. Okay,
right.
Well, I coached at Cal twice. So in 1990, we had the band is on the field. It's called the play. The band thing was called the play. Well, this was called the play 2 or something. So we're playing at Cal, and we're up by 8, if I recall. And Ed McCaffrey, remember him, the big receiver? His son plays for Stanford right now.
Yeah. He
catches a touchdown pass right at the end of the game, 40 seconds, 30 seconds. And now they're going to go for 2 to tie us, all right? Mm-hmm. And this is Cal Stanford's called the big game. It's a big rival now. Well, they go for 2 and they miss. The fans come empty that stadium on the field. The band was on the field. Everybody's celebrating because they missed and we won. There was time left on the clock. The officials throw the flags on the fans. You can't throw where's Mike Carey when you need him? You can't throw a flag on the fans. Mm-hmm. Well, they did. So their kickoff went from the 35 to the 50, all right, 15-yard penalty. Onside kick, they get it, went off Mike Beebe's knee, boom, they're on the 30-some-yard line. They have like one play left, and they go back to pass, and we rough the quarterback another 15 yards. They kick a field goal with no time on the clock and win it. Now their fans are on the field. It was the most amazing, kind of a quirky thing in a big game. I remember our GA was banging his head up against the wall up in the press box because he didn't know what to do. He started banging his head against the wall.
Right.
It was one of those kind of deals, yeah.
Steve Mariucci joining me here on the Rich Eisen Show. What happened with Chuck Pagano and that punt formation last night, if you can call it that, fake formation? After the game, he said it was a miscommunication. What was that, and what could the miscommunication possibly be, Steve?
First of all, it's a trick play, okay? It's a trick play. I don't know how long they've been working on it, maybe from training camp, maybe just this week, but he's taking responsibility because he has to approve it, right? Mm-hmm. I used to do these things. We used to do these things. A lot of people do it on field goal extra points. It's like a swinging gate, okay? And here's what you hope for. A, if they try to substitute, you can snap it and get 12 men on the field and get a 5-yard penalty. B, they could call timeout and just say, all right, we need to line up for this better so they don't get us on it. C, you can snap the ball. If they're not ready, you can run for a first down. D, you can snap it and throw the quick screen and get it over there. Or the last thing is you just say check, you bring them all back, and you punt the thing. Well, it just didn't work. They snapped it when they shouldn't have snapped it, and that's how it goes with trick plays. They don't all work, Rich. When they work, you're a genius. When they don't work, you look like a fool.
Well, let's talk about the moments where I guess it didn't work for you. Would you ever try something like that and then have to wear it in a press conference for an entire week, if not a season after?
Yeah. So I had a quarterback at Cal, Mike Plowski. He was a tough guy. I loved him. Anyway, we would go if it was 3rd and 27, and then we wanted to quick kick. We wanted to punt instead of wait till 4th down and punt. He would just back up out of his shotgun and punt the ball. Boom. He could do everything. He was a good athlete, right?
Right.
So we're in the game. In fact, it was against Stanford. We did it. We called that play, and he got it, and he punted it, and he shanked it. He's like, yay. He shanked it. And I said, after, what the heck happened on the punt? He goes, I had to tape my ankle. He had to spat his ankle, and it was, when you punt it like that.
Yeah.
Well, when his foot was taped like this,
it's like a
you
right
can't
angle.
Punt the ball. Yeah, it was like a right angle, and he punted a ball off a right angle foot, and that play didn't work very well because that stupid tape job you got on your foot.
Right, and then of course you have to wear you're the coach. You're the one to be blamed for all of that.
Yeah, it's like, why'd you do that?
Right.
Yeah.
Interesting. You told a great story on Game Day Morning yesterday. I'd love to use a couple of minutes of Mondays with Mooch with Steve Mariucci for right now, where we were having a conversation about benching a quarterback, and people in Denver there's some fans wanting Peyton to be benched, which I think is borderline crazy, if not totally nuts. But that said, you told a story about how Holmgren called the coaching staff together once to get an all coaching staff opinion on whether to bench a young, gunslinging Brett Favre in favor of Ty Detmer. That actually happened, Steve?
Ty Detmer or Mark Brunell. They were both young, good quarterbacks.
Sure.
And Brett was struggling. Brett, he came in and after that redshirt year in Atlanta, his first year, he made the Pro Bowl, Rich. Kind of a surprising thing. We were 9-7, but the next year he just threw a lot of interception. He did some crazy things. I mean, he'd be getting tackled and he'd throw it up for grabs, and he did some crazy things, and I just couldn't break that habit. He did it his whole career pretty much. He was a gunslinger.
Sure.
So Mike said, we got to get this guy playing better and eliminating those kind of plays. So we actually had a vote all the way around the table. Do we make a change right now and send him a message that, hey, you can't do this, or these other guys will, take your job, whether it's for a week or longer, we'll see. And it was a serious conversation. And obviously I voted to keep Brett, but there was a concern in my mind too. Do you send him a message like Jim Caldwell did with Matthew Stafford, and just sit down and watch and then think about how you need to be better? And so we ended up voting, and
what was the vote?
There was a lot of people. There was a lot of people that said, let's make a change right now.
And you were not.
And I almost did too.
You almost.
No,
did.
I wasn't. I almost. Of course, you had to consider it, because I think you got to say, what would send a good message to him to play better, to be more conservative with the ball, take fewer chances. So there was a good hefty discussion, and Mike chose to. It was Mike's call, and I'm sure he got a little feedback from Ron Wolf, and so it ended up starting him again. But Brett knew that. I didn't want to say he's on thin ice, but he knew that you couldn't keep making these crazy mistakes all the time, because you're hurting the team, and that gunslinger thing, let's sweep that under the door a little bit here. So anyway, we kept playing them, but we had serious discussions at times.
Did Mike go against the majority opinion in the room amongst the coaching staff?
Yeah, there was a lot. I think the staff, and Mike Irvin thought I threw everybody under the bus.
Yeah, they said that you dropped a dime on the coaching staff. Yes,
yeah, I just, because some guy, I'm just telling you, some guy said, yeah, let's make a change. And believe me, I felt the same way. I said, maybe it would work. Maybe this would be good for him. But then I said, I just couldn't. I'm tight with Brett. I was his personal coach right there, quarterback coach. And I said, no, I'd stay with him. But I had reservations myself. A lot of guys said, yeah, maybe we should just try somebody else. Maybe he would understand that he is on thin ice. So, but Mike made the call. He said, let's play him, and he kept his job.
You know who dropped a dime on me by calling me this morning? Do you know who called me this morning, Steve?
Who? Who?
Izzo. Called me on my cell
Did Izzo
phone.
call you again?
On my cell phone. Well, he's
What
never
did he
called
say?
me before. What do you mean again? He called me here on the show just to be a guest on Friday. But did you give him my cell number? Did you give Izzo my cell number, Steve?
Everybody's got your cell number.
I don't know.
I did not give him your cell number.
Okay, that's fine. I mean, but he wants to send. So do me a favor, give him my home address because he wants to send the pajamas and, as he said, the fight song to my kids, because that was what and to Suze, who somehow got dragged into this whole thing, but.
Well, they're gonna wear Michigan State pajamas.
No, they're definitely not. I'm just give it to him so he can send it to me, and then I'll say I'm going to let them wear them, but they'll never wear them.
Wait.
Never. No,
You can't welch.
You
can't
have
back
to.
out on this.
They
That's
have
the
to
deal.
wear them
No, I
because
said-
you have to tweet out a picture of them
No.
wearing them. You
Absolutely,
have to
I do not.
this.
Absolutely, I do not. I said I would accept them. He said I'll send them to you if you lose. So I'm like, please have him send them to me, Steve. Have him send them to me.
You have to. Xander wants to wear
No,
a
he definitely does
Spartan
not.
garb.
No, he does not. He has no idea
And
how
learn
much he
the
does
fight
not.
song.
No, that's stuff. That's what makes Rich most mad. What makes Mooch most mad? What makes you most mad, Steve?
I'll tell you what. How about your guy? How about your guy over there, Blake O'Neill?
Right.
All of a sudden, that's a household word, right? Blake O'Neill, the punter over there at Michigan. And you know what makes me mad, Rich? This kid's in social media is different than it was, when I was coaching and when you were a kid.
Didn't
and
exist.
all that. I mean,
Sure.
Oh my God, the kid's getting death threats. Are you kidding me? And that's BS. And I mean, probably from fellow students. But that makes me mad because the kid's doing the very best he can. He dropped the punt, okay? We see receivers drop passes every single week. And so, but when a punter drops it, it's enormous. Now, yeah, he could have fell on the ball. It doesn't matter. You don't give a guy like that death threats. You just, sometimes, I guess what makes me mad, fans think, Rich, some fans think that they care more than the players and the coaches. Well, I got news for you. That's not true. You don't care more than the players and the coaches. Nobody hurts more than this kid right now.
Right.
And so he needs to have a pat on the back and say, shake it off, let's go.
Yeah.
Because they got a chance to win that whole thing, and it's crazy. And that's a bad deal. I know all about death threats.
Yeah, I know,
right?
because you've been on the business end of some, right? I know that you've received some from your career, in your career.
I have. You want to know about it? Because
sure.
when I was...
Well, actually, we got to
get time.
Stick around for the commercial break. That's Steve Mariucci. That's right here on the Rich Eisen Show. Welcome back. Normally, I don't keep guests sticking around to tell us about a death threat they once received, but I had to take a break right there. You were in the middle of a story, Steve Mariucci.
Yeah, I was, but I want you to, are you going to ask me about that sign there, Rich?
Well, I only have 2 minutes left, so I need to.
Well, that's Izzo Mariucci Way. That's
Yeah.
on the corner of Carpenter and Izzo Mariucci Way. That's where our high school, they named the street after us. Up in
Iron Mountain? Up in Iron Mountain?
Yeah.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, that's not bad for a couple of straight B students. Okay.
Yeah.
So you want to hear about the death threat?
I have only 60 seconds for it, though, Steve, so what do you got?
So I'm with the Niners. We're 13-2. We have home field advantage wrapped up, okay?
Yeah.
So we go up to Seattle, and I don't play my guys, all right? We have one series, we scored, and then we pulled them out, and they crushed us 30-6 or 3 or something like that.
Right.
I got a death threat after that.
How so?
After that game. Because somebody lost a bet, I guess. I don't know, Rich, because we were favored. We were a very good team, right?
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, I pulled my guys, and it looks like you're throwing the game or whatever that is. But I'm trying to keep healthy with everybody going into the playoffs. So that was my first rude awakening to having the pressure of a head coach on. And it was like, don't ever pull your guys out again. And it was like, woo, okay, here we go.
Wow. Well, Mooch, I love you. I'm glad you're with us. I'm glad that everything is good with you. And congrats on the Michigan State stuff, man. Congrats.
Okay, so this is we'll finish all of this stuff here.
I will take the shirt.
We'll move on, right?
I will wear that shirt, but and tell Izzo to send whatever he wants to send to my house. But I am not putting that on my children.
Okay.
No chance. No chance. You say that's
They wrong,
but
but
Chris
Chris
Command Center is calling foul.
Mooch,
Hey, I'll wear it.
Mooch, he's got to put it on him, right? That's the bet.
On the kid?
Yeah. No, it won't hurt him. In fact, it might change your loyalty.
It might turn him Spartan, though, Mooch. It might turn him
Nothing
Spartan.
wrong with that. Nothing wrong with Sparta.
Thanks, Mooch. We'll see you soon.
The Rich Eisen Show, weekdays at noon Eastern. On Audience.